Hi everyone, Aaron here for Zollotech, and this week we have a lot to talk about with iOS 19, iPadOS 19, as well as a new Apple website, and much more. This is your weekly Apple News update for the week of April 29th, 2025. Now today, Apple launched a new website. It's called Snapshot, and if we go to the website, you'll see it says your favorites at a glance. Discover more about the artists, actors, and athletes you love across Apple. So you can scroll through or just tap on one as it's scrolling by and see more information about it. So you'll see Discover More, movies and TV shows, different things as far as music, and much more. So podcasts, and then About. So if you want to check it out, I'll link it in the description below, but it's snapshot.apple.com. A new security flaw has been discovered in Apple's AirPlay SDK that allows for devices to be hacked while using AirPlay, Wi-Fi, or CarPlay, which also uses Wi-Fi. Researchers from Allego found the vulnerability they called airborne. The researchers said the vulnerability could take years to patch or never be patched at all, but keep in mind someone has to be within range of your device when doing this. But then again, today, Apple published a new document talking about a security update for this very SDK, it seems. And it says about the security content of AirPlay Audio SDK 2.7.1 and AirPlay Video SDK 3.6.0.126 and CarPlay Communication Plugin R18.1 update. And you can see the impact where an attacker on a local network may cause an unexpected app termination. This issue was addressed with improved memory handling. And then the SDK, the same thing, and they've patched it. So hopefully this is patched already, but I just wanted to mention this, and I'll link this in the description if you'd like to check out the security update for yourself. Yesterday, Beats released two new color of Beats. We have a pink version that's available at Target and a navy blue version that's available at Walmart. Over the weekend, my friend Brom actually spotted the pink color at a local Target, and I posted it on X and Threads. And you can see it's available for $149.99 at Target. Let me know if you've picked one up in the comments below. Apple is now planning to manufacture all US-bound iPhones in India by 2026, according to a new report from the Financial Times. This makes sense as they continue to diversify and move all of their different production out of China and into India, Brazil, and other places around the world. So we're seeing this more and more, but not everything is going to be made outside China. Certain things, depending on parts and what's needed, of course, will be manufactured all around the world. Now, iPhone 16e is performing much better than I think many would have expected. According to the Consumer Intelligence Research Partners, the iPhone 16e made up 7% of all iPhone sales, which is much greater than the iPhone SE's sales last year in the same quarter. So it seems this is going to be a good option for a lot of people, whether that's free through a carrier or just wanting something that has better battery life than a regular iPhone 16. So let me know what you think of the 16e. If you've picked one up, I'd love to hear from you. Now, it seems the next step in shrinking Apple's silicon will be down to 1.4 nanometers for release in 2028 devices. TSMC released a press release teasing the new chipset at the North American Technology Symposium. Shrinking the chips would allow for better thermal performance, efficiency, and of course reducing the size internally and making it have more transistors or whatever Apple needs for the next updates. So this is something that we're going to see continually shrink down. What we get past that, maybe 1.3 nanometers, 1 nanometer, or we don't know what step will be next. If you use the New York City subway and have an iPhone, you'll soon be able to use transit cards on your iPhone. Typically, these are integrated into Wallet, and the Metropolitan Transportation Authority in New York has said it would be rolling out later this year. So I'll link this in the description, but you can see more information about their entire plan for it. Hopefully it comes sooner rather than later, but I would expect it by the end of the year as far as that goes. When it comes to weekly Apple deals, well, there's quite a few this week, with the Apple Watch Series 10 down to $299, MacBook Air M4 $150 off on Amazon by Apple, and then also $50 off the base iPad, and there's AirPods discounts as well. We've seen those sort of perpetually year over year, and it looks like they're continually down to about $179. So if you've been wanting to pick up AirPods Pro 2, they're seemingly pretty reasonable if you get them through Amazon on the Apple Store. When it comes to releases this week, well, I mentioned some of this yesterday in the iOS 18.5 Beta 4 is out what's new video, but Apple stopped signing iOS 18.4. That could mean we could get an iOS 18.4.2 before we get iOS 18.5, but we don't have any sign of that just yet. Also, though, I would expect iOS 18.5 in a couple weeks. Since this week we had Beta 4 that had a build number ending in the letter A, we could expect the release candidate, or RC, as soon as the 5th, with a final release date probably on the 12th here of May. So based on what we've seen in the past, this seems likely, but we don't have an exact release date from Apple. Then we'll see iOS 18.6 Beta 1 probably later that week. And then, of course, on June 9th, iOS 19 Beta 1 with different betas throughout the summer and a release typically in September. Now, iOS 19 this week is said to be gaining a Stage Manager option on USB-C based iPhones. This is according to leaker Majin Buu. This would work specifically when the iPhone is connected to an external display. So this would be a little bit different, maybe using this with a mouse or keyboard or something like that as you would with an iPad, but I don't really see the need for Stage Manager, and I'm not sure if this leak is actually something that's going to actually be in iOS 19 or just possibly could be. Again, the same leaker also had said that an iPad, which is running iPadOS 19, may have a new dock when you plug it into a Magic Keyboard or connect it to a Magic Keyboard. So if you're using a Magic Keyboard with it, you could see a dock that's similar to what we have on a Mac, making it more Mac-like. This lines up with the different rumors from Mark Gurman about iPad, where iPadOS 19 is said to gain productivity, some major updates allowing for more production, multitasking, and just better overall file management on the iPad. So maybe we'll see some more Mac-like features, but I know I would love to have those options if I plug this into a monitor so I could use it more easily. Now, of course, Apple is still working on Siri. We know they've delayed it. They've talked about that publicly. And Apple is planning to fix Siri and apparently planning to showcase this new version at WWDC 2025, according to Mark Gurman this weekend. So instead of just sort of architecting what was there, combining it with what is new, that hasn't seemed to work out. And they're said to be working on an all-new version, which hopefully will offer a much better experience and greatly improved results and more when you're using it. We'll have to wait and see if we actually get that, but hopefully we see real-time versions running this time and not just a demo in a video. Now, iPhone 17, of course, is in the works, and according to DigiTimes this week, Apple has completed their engineering validation testing of the iPhone 17 models. This basically locks in the design with the camera tray or bar on the back, locks in key features and updates, but it doesn't mean something small couldn't change prior to release. Last year, for example, it was thought we were going to have haptic buttons, and instead of having haptic buttons all the way around, we just had camera control with that. So we could see this sort of release this year where they change something at the last minute based on production or some other issue. This week also, Sonny Dixon continued to show off new models of the latest iPhones, and with the iPhone Air, you can see how incredibly thin it could just be. It's almost as thin as the button itself on the side, and that would mean USB-C as well, making very little room for anything else, but hopefully Apple's really figured out the battery, as most people want a thicker phone with a larger battery. I don't think many people would mind having a multiple day battery life, and instead with the iPhone Air, unless they've really figured something out, it could only have half a day battery. We'll have to wait and see what they do with that, but hopefully they've got it right. Aside from the iPhone Air's thinness, it's said to be gaining 12 gigabytes of RAM. This would be similar to the Pro models this year, and this is according to Ming-Chi Kuo, who also said that the base iPhone 17 could see an upgrade to 12 gigabytes of RAM as well. Maybe Apple Intelligence requires more than they originally anticipated with 8 gigabytes of RAM in the current iPhone 16 models, but either way, we could see 12 gigabytes in all models this coming year. Of course, we could see some more colors. Recently, there was rumored a sky blue color, which I definitely would welcome. And one thing that may be a bit of a disappointment if it's true is Apple is supposedly no longer planning to use an anti-reflective coating on the display. That's also would be highly scratch resistant. However, Ceramic Shield this year has been pretty good, and this is according to a source who spoke to MacRumors. One thing I really appreciate with the S25 Ultra is their anti-reflective display. You can see that side by side with the S25 Ultra and the iPhone 16 Pro Max. There's definitely a difference. It helps with the display and also is anti-scratch. So that's pretty great, and I would love to see that on an iPhone, so maybe they came up with a different solution for that. We're also starting to hear about future iPhones. We've talked about a folding iPhone coming soon. That's probably going to be next year, but a new leak from Digital Chat Station on Weibo today said that the next year's iPhone will have a major memory upgrade to 6-channel high-capacity LPDDR5X. This would allow for future AI and multitasking features to have a much faster throughput. So that's something we could see in future models, but that would be next year in 2026. And in a couple of years, it will mark 20 years since the original iPhone release in 2007. In Mark Gurman's Power On newsletter this weekend, Mark said that the 2027 iPhone anniversary version will have a major shakeup for the overall lineup. Despite all of the issues with manufacturing lately in China, Apple is still planning to make the 20th anniversary iPhone in China due to very complex designs and changes that require new parts and production techniques. That would also be best made there, where they already have massive production lines in place. So we saw the original iPhone, the 10th anniversary iPhone or iPhone 10, and we could see a major change with iPhone 20 or whatever they call it. So we'll have to wait and see what that entails, but either way, we can expect something big. And when it comes to the next Apple Watch Ultra 3 could have an all-new updated design. This year, we just got a different color option with this black titanium, which I think looks great, but they didn't upgrade anything. So we could see an updated design, maybe an updated display similar to the Series 10, which has better off-axis viewing angles, maybe 5G and satellite connectivity, along with major updates with watchOS 12. Of course, Apple Watch SE is expected to be updated this year. Originally, it was said to be plastic, but they may have changed that, but it's said to have an updated chipset and display. Apple is focused on Vision Pro lately, despite it not selling very well, but it seems that they're working on a rumored Vision Air that could launch as soon as the end of the year, and this is from Mark Gurman at Bloomberg, who said Apple is working on a lighter and cheaper model of the Vision Pro that will also allow maybe for tethering to a Mac for more intensive processing, and I would definitely welcome that. I think Apple's trying again to see if people would buy it at a cheaper price. However, there's just not a whole lot of content. The latest content has been great, though. If we go to the Apple Vision Pro app, you can see the Spatial Gallery app, Apple Immersive, which is great, but there's only been 5 episodes since the initial launch of Apple Vision Pro. This content really needs to roll out weekly, multiple times per week, and then it would make it worth using. It's great to use with a Mac, but there's just not enough games. But they are working on all of these things. However, personally, I don't think it's ever going to really go anywhere until it's glasses. But either way, it's nice to use for a little while, but it's very heavy and a lighter version would definitely be welcome. What do you think of Vision Pro, though? Have you tried it out? Would you purchase one if it was cheaper? Or do you think it's something that you would never use? And so that's everything this week with all of the news from Apple, different updates and more. And of course, I'm looking most forward to iOS 19. Let me know what you want most this year from Apple, whether it's hardware, software, maybe a new Mac or something else. I'd love to hear from you in the comments below. And of course, I'll link this wallpaper in the description like I normally do. If you haven't subscribed already though, please subscribe. And if you enjoyed the video, please give it a like. As always, thanks for watching. This is Aaron. I'll see you next time.